Okay, so Trisha Hirschberger would like to know how to keep your spirits high after you've just lost your job. So what you do is you take some coffee and you chill it, and then you add some Baileys and lift that spirit high. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am fat, I am naked. This is actually not coffee and Baileys. It's coffee and Kirkland Holiday eggnog. But the principle is the same. It's still a spirit. Therefore, this must be a somewhat drunken naked truth. Oh, that's good. What I do is I put the coffee in a mason jar and I chill it in the refrigerator. And then I take these little glasses and I put them in my freezer. So it's just this really cold drink. I like to use Baileys or Kirkland cream liqueur. Any kind of Irish cream will really do, but yeah. Oh, just really just relaxes me. Anyway, so on a more serious note, pardoning the pun, what do you do to keep your spirits high after you lost your job? What do you do to keep your head up and keep focused? Well, I'm kind of an expert on this. I can't remember how many times I've lost my job. As a security officer, losing your job is part of the job. I mean, you will go work at a place for 3 months, get pulled. You haven't been removed from the company, but you're going to be looking at a couple of weeks of not being employed. And I mean, I was with a company once for 7 years. My longest job relationship with anyone. And I tell you, I was at 7 different posts. One of them, I think I was there for 2 years and 6 months. So yeah. And then they fired me. Or they laid me off with a positive rehire status. Yeah, sure they did. So I'll tell you this much. The first time I lost my job was in 2002. I got sick. Killed my kidneys. Was just sitting there, lying on my back from the pain. And was in very bad shape. And what I did then was I just kept telling myself, business as usual, keep doing your thing. Keep working as if you haven't lost your job. What that means is that you still spend however much time you spent on your job, only now you're looking for a job. You're spending that time job searching. And that, it worked okay. It was not great. But of course I was morbidly depressed, so that was kind of the problem. And I did not drink at the time, which would have actually helped my kidneys because it would have caused me to pass more fluid. But I think probably the best advice you can give anyone is have a goal. Remember what your life goal is. If your life goal was to stay at that job for the rest of eternity, well, you need a better life goal. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of how that is. And you know, with the last major job, with the last job I had, they called me up one day and said, "You'll be reassigned," and haven't spoken to me since. That was months ago. But it's kind of irrelevant. So, there is that. But the job before that, I mean, I got fired and I thought, you know, if I had been getting everything else in my life squared away the way I should have, then I really should have been telling them I wasn't interested anymore. Because I tell you, that place, I was gaining weight, my hair was falling out, I was getting sick, I had to go to the doctor because I opened up an ulcer. And yeah, I mean, it was a terrible place to work. So that's part of it. I mean, you know, it should be kind of understood that with Trisha, what's going on with her is, yes, she lost a good situation, but most of the people she was working with, you know, she does know, Anthony Carboni and Steve Zaragoza. So, yeah, you know these people. You're not going to never see them again. And now we have Facebook, so you can, if you have somebody from your work, you know, you say, "Hey, I lost my job," go find them on Facebook. Tell them you want to keep in touch. I've done that before, so you don't lose your identity so much. And yeah, I mean, losing your job. Look, I've been a security officer for 18 years, and at every place I have ever worked, someone has said I was the best guard that ever worked there. I don't know if that's just something that happens, but it's what's been said to me. And I tell you, yeah, you lose a part of yourself every time you get kicked out of a situation, because, you know, the last day you're there, normally, you're as good at that job as you've ever been, which was always my thing, and then you lose that job despite being good at it, and now you got to start all over again. So yeah, there's that. And it hurts. It hurts because, you know, well, with me, I was doing a good job. I generally didn't care for where I was working and the people I was working with, actually. Other guards tend to be foul-tempered, but, you know, I cared for what I was doing. It's like the first job I was at, I was protecting a major technology company, and the job after that, I was protecting a bubble wrap factory, and that was kind of silly. And then the job after that, you know, I wound up working with the big trucks, and I was keeping people safe. I would tell drivers, I'd say, yeah, I pay a lot of attention to your rig. You know why? Because somebody's mother is going to be driving behind you, and I don't want that person getting hurt. So that's why I pay a lot of attention. I do my job really well. And then, you know, I worked with the homeless, and all of my clients, all of the homeless people I worked with, they really tended to care for the job I did. They thought I was a good person and I was hardworking and that I was really helping them. And I remember I had one person, they had injured themselves because they had gotten so angry, they put their hand through a window and they said, you know, I wish you were my therapist, because when you talk to me, I calm down and you say something that makes actual sense, whereas my therapist just talks nonsense that I can't use. So yeah, you know, that was one of those things. I really felt like I had done a superb job, and just, I guess the world didn't agree with me. So you lose a part of yourself, but you should always remember that you haven't lost that experience. You've gained that experience, and now you're ready for a new experience. And that's kind of where that goes. You go out there and it's like, hey, everything that's happened in the past, I like to mine my experiences for inspiration. And you'll see that, like, I have a blog. I have many blogs, but one of my blogs is called Letters to Cassie and Other Folks. And what I do on that is I write letters to my friend Cassie, who hasn't actually spoken to me in a while, and I don't know if she bothers to read the letters anymore, but I write the letters to her. They're written to her, and I try to post them at least a year after I write them, so that there's a certain amount of distance between me and the event. And I will go and I'll write about something that happened to me in high school or at my first job or anything like that. And I'm bringing up those experiences. Normally they're painful experiences. And I do that because I'm undergoing what I call systematic desensitization. I'm bringing up the past pain and addressing it in a very very calm and collected way. And what that does is it actually alters the neurological pathways with which I hold those memories, and makes me able to deal with them a little bit better. So just remember, just because you lost your job, you didn't necessarily lose the experiences that happened there. You still had those experiences. You haven't really lost anything. You're just not continuing to get something else. So that's it. I mean, in a nutshell, work just as hard as you were working when you had your job at finding another job or completing your life goals, because that's important too. And, you know, just remember that you're not losing anything, really. You're just not gaining that thing you were gaining before. So these are all those things. And above all else, I mean, when I got fired from working with the homeless, there was a gentleman, not a gentleman, there was a giant rectum. And this giant rectum would, of course, bend over and their clothes would separate, and you would see the giantness of this rectum. And I mean, I can just imagine people that like to see other men's rectums looking at this rectum and thinking, the promised land! Because that was one big rectum. It was a giant chocolate rectum just staring at you. all the time. I mean, I even took it to HR, said we can't be showing this rectum at work. The man needs to wear a belt. Wouldn't listen. So then I don't have to see that rectum anymore, and I'm actually rather happy that I don't have this giant rectum. And it was a very rude rectum too, always talking nonsense and belittling people. So now I'm very happy I don't have to deal with that giant rectum anymore. And that's one of the things I think about when I lose a job. I think of all the bad things and I go, yeah, not dealing with that anymore. Good times. And of course, you know, never forget the spirits. You can get some great deals at Costco. Really good spirits there. So just remember, keep your spirits high and never give in.